Greetings, friends. Welcome to my channel. I am Alexander Musienko. So what is happening right now? Right now, there are reports that Moscow and the Moscow region are under attack. Numerous drones are striking, flying. Well, the Russian air defense is trying to handle it. And again, there are no official comments at the moment about the origin of these drones, where they are coming from. But the fact that they are flying towards Moscow, let's acknowledge, is in itself a very constructive phenomenon, very important, and very necessary. I think these are the right steps, which are related to the fact that evidently Russia does not accept the conditions mentioned by the Commander-in-Chief of the Armed Forces of Ukraine, President of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky. These demands have been known to you for a long time and are well known to everyone. It is about the need to achieve a ceasefire and establish it for a period of 30 days. If this is not done, then why should we essentially agree to Putin's conditions and demands to his unilateral, voluntaristic, let's say, decisions? Moreover, the ceasefire announced by Putin has not yet come into effect. That is, as of today, May 6th, even the unilateral Russian ceasefire has not come into effect. Accordingly, Russia may still change its decision and extend this period to 30 days. As the United States of America, the European Union, and Ukraine are urging them to do. Otherwise, there might be drones. The drones, moreover, might be of unknown origin, yet they are flying over Russian territory. Well, what can you do, even over Moscow? Moreover, it must be understood that at the moment when the enemy has concentrated all its air defense systems directly around Moscow, many other areas are exposed where these air defense systems were actually located and stationed. These areas become exposed accordingly. It essentially opens up the possibility to strike there as well. In fact, this is pressure on Russia. We must understand that Putin is trying to test us. They are exerting pressure. They are carrying out terrorist strikes. They are hitting our civilian infrastructure. And innocent civilians are suffering. Overall, Russia must stop attacking our territory. But, well, Putin is essentially setting his own terms. We see that it's just a 3-day thing. Just let me hold the parade, and after that, I'm not bound or obligated by anything. Moreover, what is the Russian dictator trying to achieve by doing this? He is trying to demonstrate that he is moderating, that he is directly managing the actions that he is directly managing and moderating the conflict and its potential resolution. He is attempting to nullify all ideas and proposals that come from Ukraine and the West. In this way, he wants to belittle the entire coalition that has formed around Ukraine. In fact, this is how it should be perceived. So why should we just watch this? And when Ukraine demonstrates strength, it is precisely a call to the West to jointly put pressure on Putin using various tools, primarily military ones. And for this, it is necessary to supply weapons. As we can see, Washington is now figuring out how it happened that aid was blocked, essentially at the initiative of the Pentagon and Defense Secretary Pete Hagestad. So how did this happen? What could have gone wrong? And how did Ukraine, in fact, not receive the supply of the weapons that we desperately need? And this is against the backdrop of the President of the United States, Donald Trump, stating that Putin will not stop. He needed the whole of Ukraine, and the credit goes to Trump for not allowing this to happen. You know, we must give credit to the 47th President of the United States, as he is very skilled, first of all, at drawing attention to himself. Secondly, Trump tries to demonstrate that a lot depends on him, that he is the one solving issues, and that without him, many things would be impossible to resolve and regulate. And in fact, in this way, he tries to show that he is truly leading the process. But is this really the case? If Putin continues shelling Ukrainian territory and continues to dictate the terms of a 3-day truce. I want to remind you that not long ago, the President of the United States emphasized that it might not be possible to actually stop this war quite quickly, and he naively and mistakenly believed that it could be done. Therefore, in fact, this is really the revealing aspect, so to speak, that can be discussed, since, it shows that it is indeed not that simple. It must be understood that the war, which began in 2014 with the illegal annexation of Crimea, has undoubtedly been going on for a very long time, and resolving it quite quickly is extremely difficult. The negotiation process is very difficult and complex. Moreover, it was thought that pressure could be applied on Ukraine and that it would be possible to push through the necessary decisions, that the President of Ukraine, Volodymyr Zelensky, would turn out to be weak, but he has proven to be a tough nut to crack and is not making concessions as of today. In this context, it is extremely important to understand that the enemy does not abandon its active attempts to assault our positions on the front. Therefore, it is very important not to forget the necessity of supplying Ukraine with weapons, ensuring the necessary support for our units, and maintaining their combat readiness. In this regard, the initiative by the Czech Republic to train our pilots on F-16 aircraft using simulators, including the supply of ammunition and shells, and the existing initiatives are important, including the procurement of ammunition. In all of this, it is also important for us to understand that we have opportunities. We have special exporter enterprises that can and should procure weapons. And I hope they will also become more active. This essentially is what needs to be understood. We are entering a rather, interesting period in terms of the fact that there will now be a very serious game of nerves, that there will now be pressure. Let's see if Putin will be ready to extend the ceasefire after May 10th, or will they once again unilaterally say no? Well, in fact, we need to understand that our capabilities might be limited regarding Moscow because Xi Jinping will be there on a 3-day visit to the Russian capital. Most likely, Fico will be there. As we understand, he is the Prime Minister of Slovakia. Yes, despite all that, I understand the attitude, I understand the discussions, but still, he is the Prime Minister of a European Union country, as well as NATO. And, in fact, it must be understood that, of course, our capabilities are somewhat limited when it comes to the mausoleum, where this whole gang will be located, but they are not limited regarding other areas and territories. And in the event that Russia uses its long-range missiles, Shahed-type drones, and other types of weapons for terrorism to strike our civilian targets, then accordingly, of course, Ukraine is in no way limited or bound by any conditions or obligations in terms of retaliatory strikes. This needs to be understood. The enemy must realize this. The whole world must realize this and stand by Ukraine now. We must clearly understand that certain European or American politicians may talk about refraining from strikes. They claim it could lead to escalation, and yet Russia may strike. And once again, we need to consider a 3-day truce, a ceasefire, as this could be a solution because Russia agreed to it. But we must realize that ultimately we have to do our part. We have the Ukrainian Defense Forces. We have heroic people who, despite all the difficulties, despite all the complexities, with their selfless heroism, do this to stop the enemy, and in doing so, give our diplomats, our international representatives, a chance to secure a strong position for us at the negotiating table. This is extremely important for us to understand and realize today. In this regard, I sincerely congratulate all the infantrymen on their day, on Infantry Day. Thank you for your service to each and every one of you. Thank you for standing firm. Thank you for destroying the enemy, for preventing them from breaking through the front, and for not allowing them to take and Putins our positions. This is truly the power and strength that is currently holding Ukraine. Therefore, for these feats, for this work, a deep bow and heartfelt thanks from the bottom of my heart. This is very sincere. Well, friends, you see that there might be some temporary changes in the release of my videos. But no worries, I remain in touch and will definitely keep you informed. So expect Putins, the next releases of operational information, my traditional briefings, very soon. Take care of yourselves. Remember that with confidence and God's help, we look and move only forward. Glory to Ukraine.